Good morning, my dear students. In this session, we will solve some of the problems based on Henry's law, and also we are discussing about vapor pressure of liquid solutions. In the liquid solutions, we are discussing mainly about liquids in liquids and solids in liquids, and also we discuss about Rode's law here and ideal and non-ideal solutions. Okay, this is the third session in solutions here. Then based on Henry's law, here you have one problem. Here it is the first problem. If nitrogen gas is bubbled through water, at a 293 Kelvin temperature, how many millimoles of nitrogen gas would dissolve in 1 liter of water? Says this is here it contains water. Here 1 liter water. Here 1 liter water. For this 1 liter water, here nitrogen gas is bubbled. Nitrogen gas is passed through water, 1 liter water here at 293 Kelvin. How many millimoles of nitrogen gas dissolved in water? Here in this water, here how many millimoles of nitrogen is present? This is the question. This is one of the problem based on Henry's law. Then given the partial pressure of N2 is given. Partial pressure of nitrogen gas is given. Partial pressure of N2 equal to 0.987 bar. And also here Henry's law constant given. Henry's law constant value is 76.48 kilobar at 293 Kelvin temperatures. Here they are giving one is partial pressure of N2, other one is Henry's law constant is given here. And also it is 1 liter of water is given this. Then you calculate how many millimoles of nitrogen gas is dissolved in water. This is. Then we know that here according to Henry's law, here this is a partial pressure is equal to here and kH into x. Okay. Then here P is given. P is 0.987 here and kH value is given 76.48. Then here we are finding out mole fraction of N2. Then this is partial pressure of N2. This is a mole fraction of N2. Mole fraction of N2 equal to here. This is mole fraction of N2 equal to partial pressure of N2 divided by KH. And partial pressure is given here 0.987 bar. This is bar. But KH value in kilobar. You convert kilobar into bars. Multiplied by 1000. You will get 76,480 bar. This is. Then bar get cancels. Then you will get 0.987 by 76,480 here. That value you will get 1.29 into 10 to the power of minus 5. This is the value. This is a mole fraction of N2 gas. This is mole fraction of N2 gas. By knowing mole fraction here, then we will find out number of moles of N2 which is present in solution. Then after knowing this is mole fraction, here we know the definition of mole fraction, and mole fraction definition is mole fraction equal to number of moles of N2 divided by number of moles of water. Total number of moles of solution were taken here, but here when compared to number of moles of water, number of moles of nitrogen is negligible. This value is negligible. It is N2 value negligible. Then here this X2 value, mole fraction of X2 is 1.29 10 to the power minus 5, and NH2 value we know that NH2 value here, that is 1 liter water. 1 liter water equal to 1000 grams. If 1 liter water equal to 1000 grams, here find out number of moles of water. Number of moles of water equal to mass of water 1000 divided by molecular mass of water is 18, that equal to 55.55 moles. This is number of moles of water. By knowing mole fraction number of moles of water, we are calculating the number of moles of N2, and number of moles of N2 equal to here, that is mole fraction of N2 is 1.29 into 10 to the power of minus 5, and number of moles of water is this is 55.5. Okay. Then here this value will get, this is X2 here, and its value is 7.16 into 10 to the power 7.16 into the power of minus 4 moles. This is the value. That is number of moles of N2. Here 1 mole equal to 1 mole equal to 1000 millimoles. 1 mole equal to 1000 millimoles. You convert moles into millimoles. 1 mole is 1000 millimoles here. Then here 7.16 into 10 to the power of minus 4 moles equal to how many millimoles? Then that is millimoles. Now this is millimoles. N2 in millimoles is calculated here. That is in cross multiplication. We will get that is 7.16 into 10 to the power of minus 4 into 1000 here divided by this is 1 mole. This is 1 mole. In cross multiplication, you will get this one. It is here. This is 0.716 millimoles. This is the answer. Like this, we are solving. This is the problem here. This is based on Henry's law. That is, if nitrogen gas is bubbled through water at 293 Kelvin, how many millimoles of N2 is dissolved in 1 liter of water? How many millimoles they are asking this here? That's why millimoles, nothing but here you are converting moles into millimoles. This is 0.716 millimoles. Similarly, here this is one more problem. Here, second problem. H2S, a toxic gas. H2S, hydrogen sulfide, this is a toxic gas which with rotten egg-like smell. It has a smell like rotten egg-like smell it is, and it is used for qualitative analysis. If the solubility of H2S in water, at STP is 0.195 molality. This is molality. Calculate the here Henry's law constant. It is 0.195 moles of H2S dissolved in 1 liter water. This is the meaning of 0.195 molality. Molality. What is molality here? Molality means number of moles of solute present in 1 kg of solvent. Here 1 kg of solvent. Which is a solvent here? Water is solvent. It is like this is 0.195 moles of solute present in 1 kg of water. By knowing this, you calculate Henry's law constant. Here we know that here Henry's law, according to Henry's law, here partial pressure equal to Kh into X. Then here partial pressure, this is called as pressure exerted, STP, standard temperature pressure. And the standard temperature pressure at 298 Kelvin temperature, what is the pressure? And pressure value is at 298 Kelvin temperature, here at room temperature, the pressure value is 0.987 bar. This is the value of partial pressure, 0.987 bar atmosphere pressure is. Okay. Then this is by using this one here, then you are calculating Henry's law constant. Here X mole fraction is given. It is mole fraction is given here. Sorry, it is solubility, number of moles of solute is given. From using this number of moles of solute, you calculate mole fraction, and mole fraction equal to here is. First you find mole fraction. Mole fraction equal to here number of moles of H2S. Number of moles of H2S by number of moles of water. Number of moles of H2S, how much? 0.195. And number of moles of water is fixed. This is 55.5. Here taken this is that is 1000 by 18 gives 55.5. That is 1000 gram of water. 1000 gram water. In 1000 gram, nothing but 1 liter water. Here in 1 liter water, 1 kg water. In 1 kg water, 1000 grams, and 1000 gram contains 55.5 moles of water. Then here 0.195 divided by 55. Here that gives the value is this is 0.55.5 plus, and also here this is not negligible. This is number of moles of H2S. Number of moles of H2S. This is 0.195. Okay. Then the total value becomes, this is 0.195 here, 0 divided by this is 55.745. This value. This two value is 55.745. This is. Then on dividing this value here with 55.745, we will get the value here 0.0035. This is mole fraction of H2S. Mole fraction of H2S in 1 liter water. The mole fraction of H2S in 1 liter water is 0.0035. Okay. By knowing mole fraction and also by knowing this is a partial pressure here, then we are calculating Henry's law constant. and Henry's law constant that is Kh equal to here Kh equal to that is Kh equal to P by this is X, and P value is this is 0.987 divided by X value is 0.0035 mole fractions. Then after this here we will get the value is 20 this is 282 bars. This is the value we will get. This is Henry's law constant, this 282 bars. Okay. Then here this is not given here, and we know that at STP conditions, the partial pressure, atmosphere pressure is 0.987 bar. This is okay. This is partial pressure of the gas in atmospheres. Then the third one here, this is Henry's law constant for CO2 in water is 1.67 10 to the power of 8 Pascal at 298 Kelvin. Calculate the quantity of CO2 in 500 ml of soda water when packed under 2.5 atmosphere pressure at 298 Kelvin. This is. Then here Henry's law constant for CO2 in water. This is called as CO2. Here this is a vessel containing or bottle. This is a soda water bottle, and this soda water bottle containing CO2 in water. This is Henry's law constant is given here. This is that is Kh value is 1.67 into 10 to the power of 8 pascals. This is the value Kh value of CO2 here in water at 200 Kelvin. Calculate the quantity of CO2 in 500 ml of soda water. Here how much amount of this is we have taken here 500 ml of water. For 500 ml of water, here how much quantity of CO2 is present here when packed under 2.5 atmosphere pressure, and this can be packed under 2.5 atmosphere pressure. The pressure of this bottle is 2.5 atmospheres. By using this data here, then we find out here how much quantity of CO2 present in 500 ml of water is. Then here Kh value is given here, and this is 2.5 atmosphere is given here. Here atmosphere pressure converted into pascals by multiplying with that is 1 Pascal equal to that is 1 atmosphere equal to 1000 here 101,325 pascals. We know the conversion, so 1 atmosphere pressure equal to 101,325 Pascal. By using this conversion, you convert atmospheres into pascals. Then you find out this mole fraction of CO2. That is a mole fraction of CO2 equal to here. This is partial pressure of CO2 divided by then Kh. This is Kh value Kh. And here the P is given 2.5 atmospheres, and 2.5 atmosphere multiplied by this is 101 and 325 pascals. Here atmosphere converted to pascals divided by here Kh value is given 1.67 into 10 to the power of 8. Then this is a partial pressure by Kh value gives a mole fraction of CO2. By knowing mole fraction of CO2 here, this value will get 1.517 into 10 to the power of minus 3. This is the value we will get. This is okay. This is moles. This is in moles. Mole fraction nothing but in moles. Okay. Then this here by we know that here this is in moles. Here you convert moles into it is moles contained into mole fraction contained into number of moles. This is called mole fraction. Mole fraction, there is no unit. This is mole fraction here, and by knowing mole fraction here, then you convert into moles like this. This is called as mole fraction of CO2 equal to number of moles of CO2 divided by number of moles of water. Number of moles of CO2 here it is. Here we don't know number of moles of CO2. Number of moles of CO2 divided by here number of moles of water. Then by using this this expression here, this is X CO2 value. X CO2 value is that is by using this one that is 1.517 into 10 to the power of minus 3, that equal to N CO2 divided by N H2O. Here N H2O means number of moles of water. And how much water were taken here? The water is 500 ml of water. 500 ml of water. This is 500 ml of water converted into this number of moles. 500 by 18. And 500 by 18. 500 grams in this is molecular mass of water. This is the quantity of water taken in the vessel here. then it becomes 27.78 moles. This is, you're converting here volume of water into moles. This is 27.78 moles. Then here substitute the value 27.78. Then you will get NCO2 here. NCO2 equal to, okay, by multiplying these two, it is 1.517 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into, this is 27.78, that equal to, you will get 42.14 into 10 to the power of minus 3 moles. Here you will get moles. This much mole of CO2 present in 500 ml of water. 42.14 into 10 to the power of minus 3 moles of CO2 present in water. Then after getting this is moles here, this mole also converted into mass. That is, then how do you convert moles into mass? For the conversion of moles into mass, here we know that this is that is number of moles of CO2 equal to mass of CO2 divided by molecular mass divided by molar mass. If you know the number of moles of CO2 and molar mass, then you are calculating mass of CO2. And molar mass CO2 equal to how much? 44. This value is 44. Here this is the number of moles of CO2 here, and this is 44. Then you are calculating mass of CO2. And mass of CO2 equal to here, mass of CO2 equal to, that is number of moles are 42.14 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into the molecular mass equal to 44 CO2. Then here by multiplying 44 into 42.14, you will get the value here 1.8 and 54 grams. 1.854 grams. This much amount of CO2 present in 500 ml of water. This is like this. We are solving problems based on this is Henry's law. This is okay. This is some of the problems based on Henry's law here. Then here this is partial pressure is given, KH value is given here, and also it is the volume of water is given. Then you are calculating mole fraction and mole here. According to Henry's law, it is partial pressure of any gas is equal to KH into mole fraction of gas in the solution. That's why it is X2 equal to Pn2 by X. This is a KH. Then you are getting this value here. Like this, you are solving the problems based on Henry's law. Okay. I hope these problems are helpful here for your examinations. That is, in case of CET exams or NEET exams, they are very helpful. It is for solving so many problems based on Henry's law. Then after this here, then we have this one more topic regarding this session. That is, this is we are discussing about vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. And what are liquid solution here? A liquid solution is one in which solvent must be liquid and solute may be gas, or it is liquid or solid. But in this your syllabus mainly it is we have this only liquid solutions, and also it is liquid in liquid solutions and liquids in solid, that is solids in liquid solutions. Okay. And in a liquid solutions here, solvent should be it is liquid. Solvent should be liquid, and solute may be it is liquid here, liquid, or it is solid here, liquid or solid here. Then already we are discussing about gas here, but in this session we are discussing about liquids in liquids or solids in liquids. Then here, what about here in the liquid solutions there are two types. That is liquid solutions are two types. Here this is liquid in liquids, liquids in liquids it is, and second one is solids in liquids. We are discussing about solids in liquids and liquids in liquids in this session. It is okay. Then what about here is liquids in liquids, liquids in liquids. For example, here you have this is water is called as one of the liquid, and also here you have one more liquid. That one more liquid is called as it is ethanol, ethyl alcohol. Ethanol and water are called as volatile liquids. These are called as volatile. Volatile means vaporize. That's why here ethanol is volatile and water also volatile here. This type of solutions are called as liquids in liquids. And solute is liquid and it is a solvent also liquid here. Those type of solutions are called as liquids in liquids. What about in solids in liquids here? In solids in liquids here, you are taking this is called as liquid here. Liquid, nothing but water is liquid here. For this water, you are adding a solid solutes like sodium chloride, or you are adding sucrose, or you are adding urea here. Urea, sucrose, sodium chloride, these are sugar here. These are called as solids. And this type of solutions are called as solids in liquids, and these are called as liquids in liquids. Then here mainly we are discussing here is first one we were taking, this is liquids in liquids. Let us consider liquids in liquids. In liquids here, both components, that is both the components nothing but substances here which are present in solution. This is about, this is a vessel containing, it is one of the liquid is called water here. Water is one of the liquid here, and also here you are taking, this is called one more liquid is called as ethanol liquid. And here this is water here. Liquids have one of the property here. Liquids nothing but they are volatile means vaporized. It is when liquids are volatile here, this is the component, this is one of the component in solution. This is one more component in solution here. By mixing ethanol and water, this is called as a liquid in liquid solution. In liquid solution, here two components, one is ethanol or one is water here, and both ethanol and water are volatile components. These are called as volatile components. Then these components are volatile here, then you get vapors over the solution phase. Vapor phase. In vapor phase, you have these molecules of like this. Here we have two components, not only one component. Here we have two components. Here this is molecules like this. This is, for example, here using different colors for identification of, this is simply identification. This is alcohols. This is for this solution here. This is called as vapor phase. In vapor phase, we have two components. One is ethanol or one is water. Both the molecules are present in vapor phase. Then the vapor pressure, that is the vapor pressure exerted by here, vapor pressure. What is vapor pressure here? Vapor pressure. The pressure exerted by the vapor when equilibrium with the liquid is called as vapor pressure at a particular temperature. This is called vapor pressure. Here vapors exert some pressure, that is called as vapor pressure. Here when a vapor in equilibrium with the liquid, here they create some pressure, and over the solution here we have this vapor pressure here. The vapor pressure of the solution here depends on this Rhodes law, and the Rhodes scientists studied about behavior of this type of solutions. Here, after studying the behavior of this type of solutions, here Rhodes gave a quantitative relation between here the partial pressure exerted by the two components in a solutions. That law is called as Rhodes law. Then, according to Rhodes law, here it states that. And what is Rhodes law? To explain the behavior of components in a solution, here the quantitative relation is given by Rhodes scientist. The Rhodes law here, and Rhodes proposed this law in 1886. According to Rhodes law here, the wave, that is for solutions of liquids in liquids, or for solutions, binary solutions, binary nothing but two components it is. For binary solutions here, for a solution of liquids in liquids here, the vapor pressure exerted by each components in a vapor phase is directly proportional to a mole fraction of the gas present in the solution. This is a statement. This is for a solution of volatile liquids. This is a statement. For a solution of volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component, the partial vapor pressure the partial vapor pressure of each component, the partial vapor pressure of each component in a solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of the components in the solution. This is called as a Roche law. Roche law states that for a solution of volatile liquids, both are water liquids here. For a solution of water liquids, the partial vapor pressure, nothing but the pressure exerted by the individual components. The pressure exerted by the individual component nothing but partial vapor pressure. That's why the partial vapor pressure of each component in a solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of the components in the solution. This is called as Roche law. According to this, Roche law can be written here in the form of in the mathematical form. That is if this is a component 1 here, this is a component 2 here, then partial pressure of component 1 is directly proportional to mole fraction of component 1. Similarly, here for component 2 here, this is partial pressure of 2, that is component 2 is directly proportional to mole fraction of component 2. Then by removing this proportional constant, this is P1 is equal to, here we are adding a new constant that is called this is P1 naught, and this is called as X1, and P1 naught is called as the partial vapor pressure of pure components. This is a vapor pressure of pure component here. This is a partial pressure of P1 here. This is called X1. Similarly, in case of component 2, P2 equal to here P2 naught, and this is called X2. This is here P1 and P2 are called as partial pressures, and P1 naught and P2 naught are called as partial pressures of the components in the pure form, that is solvents in the pure form is. Okay. Then according to Roche law, here Roche law says that according to Roche law here P total is equal to P1 plus P2. Roche law says that here P total, this is Dalton's law partial pressure. Dalton's law, this is Roche law here. According to Roche law here, the partial pressure of each component in a solution is direct proportional to mole fraction of the component in the solution. According to this is Dalton's law partial pressure. According to Dalton's law partial pressure, here P total is equal to P1 plus P2. This is studied in the first PhD syllabus, that is in the gaseous state. P total is equal to P1 plus P2, and P total equal to P1 plus P2. What is P1 and what is P2? Here P1 equal to P1 naught and X1, and P2 equal to P2 naught and X2. Substitute P1 and P2 values in this one. Here you will get P total is equal to P1 naught and X1, and P2 naught and X2. By knowing P1 naught and this is P1 naught X1 and P2 naught X2 here, then X1 X2 you are calculating P total. Then you know that here, that is X1 is equal to 1 minus X2, mole fraction of any two components, mole fraction of binary solutions. In case of mole fraction of binary solutions, here X1 is equal to 1 minus X2. Then substitute this is in this expression. Here you will get a P total is equal to, here P1 naught, this is 1 minus X2, plus this is P2 naught and X2. Here then on rearranging, here you will get a P total is equal to P1 naught plus this is P2 naught minus P1 naught. Here this is called as X2. This is another way of writing Roche law. P total is equal to P1 naught plus P2 naught and P1 naught here minus X2, and P1 naught and P2 naught are called as vapor pressure of pure components. And by knowing vapor pressure of pure components of P2 and P1 naught, we are calculating a mole fraction of the component X1 and also calculating X2. That is the total vapor pressure on the solution here depends on, it is the mole fraction of any one component in the solution. This is, and this is one of the important law asking in examinations. Here there is 2 marks questions. Explain Roche law, state Roche law. Roche law states that for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure of each component in a solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of the components in the solution. That is P1 directly proportional to x1. Here you will get like this. This is a Rhodes law expression. P total is equal to P1 naught and plus P2 naught and P1 naught and x2. By knowing here P2 naught and P1 naught and P total, we are calculating x2 and x1. Or by knowing this is x2 and x1, here we are also calculating this is partial pressure in the partial mole fraction of the components in the vapor phase also we are calculating this is. Then after this here you have this by using this expression, that is Rhodes law expression, that is P total is equal to P1 naught plus P2 naught and P1 naught and x2 here. Then we are drawing a diagram here for this one. It is this is partial pressure versus mole fractions. This is called as vapor pressure versus mole fractions. This is a mole fraction axis. Mole fraction axis is partial pressure here. Then we get a here is graph like this. This is called as here it is x1 equal to 1. Here this is here x2 equal to 0 and here x2 equal to x1 equal to 0, but here x2 equal to 1. This then we will get like this. This is and this is called as P2 naught. P2 naught means vapor pressure of the pure component. This is P2 naught. When x2 equal to 1, x1 equal to 0, mole fraction of the component 1 equal to 0, mole fraction of the component 2 equal to 1 here. Then this that is called as this is called as vapor pressure of pure component. Here this is called as P1 naught. This is P1 naught. Here x1 equal to 1, nothing but x1 equal to mole fraction of the component 1 equal to 1 here, and here mole fraction of component 2 equal to 0. Then this is called as the vapor pressure of the pure component, that is 1 it is. Then here by drawing this one here, by connecting this here, you will get this is and this line indicates P total is equal to, what is P total here? That is total pressure of the solution in the vapor phase. Total pressure of the solution in the vapor phase is equal to here. This is P1 plus P2. 1 plus P2. This is about ideal solutions. And ideal solutions obey this type of behavior. It is okay. Then and by using this expressions here, this expression, we have three conclusions. Here. And what are those three conclusions we are drawing from this this is expression? One is the total vapor pressure of the solution. This is total vapor pressure. The total vapor pressure of the solution in the vapor phase is can be that is used on the mole fraction of any one component solution. Here according to this one here, P total equal to P1 naught and P2 naught and P1 naught x1. Here this is the P total mainly depends upon mole fraction of any one component in the solution. This is the first conclusion drawing from this expression here. And second conclusion here, if you draw a there is a graph that is mole fraction versus vapor pressure, here we get straight lines like this here. This indicates that here, that is the total vapor pressure over the solution varies linearly with the mole fraction of the component 2. This is this is mole fraction of the component 2 here. Then as the mole fraction of component 2 increases here, then this graph also increases. And the third one here, depending on the vapor pressure of the pure components 1 and 2, here, the total vapor pressure over the solution decreases or increases on the mole fraction of the components. Here this may be the total pressure on over the solution may be decreases or increases. It depends upon the nature of the components. With the components, the different nature of the components it is. Okay. This is about this regarding this is Rhodes law for it is liquids in liquids for volatile solutions. Here this is the main important examination here, two marks questions here. Then after this here we come across one more topic regarding this is Rhodes law here, that is called as solids in liquids. And also here, by using this Rolle's law here, you are not only by using this expression, you are not only finding the mole fraction of the component x1, x2 here, we are also calculating mole fraction of components in the vapor phase here. The mole fraction of the components in the vapor phase according to Dalton's law is given by, that is P1 is equal to Y1, P1 is equal to, this is Y1, this is P total. By knowing P total and P1 here P1 means partial pressure of the component 1 here, and P total. By knowing P1 and P total, you are calculating a mole fraction of the components in the vapor phase. And by knowing P2 equal to Y2 into, this is P total here, then this is called as Y1 and Y2 are called as mole fraction of the components in the vapor phase. This is called vapor phase. This is solution phase. Here in the solution phase, we are calculating mole fractions in X2 and X2 are called as solution phase, and Y1, Y2 are called as vapor phase composition degrees. Like this, we are calculating both the composition of components in mole fraction of components in solution phase, as well as, that is mole fraction of components in vapor phase. We are calculating by using Rolle's law. And also by using Rolle's law, we are also calculating P total. By knowing P1 naught and X1 and P2 naught and X2, we are calculating P total. Okay. Then after this, you come across, this is solids and liquids. Here in solids and liquids, we have only here solids are non-volatile. Solids are non-volatile, not volatile, but liquids are volatile. This is volatile solute present in non-volatile solute present in volatile liquids. Okay, solids and liquids. When solids are dipped in solids are dissolved in water, here what happens is, what is the change in the vapor pressure when this is liquid solution, liquid solvent here. For liquid solvent here, we are adding this solutes like sodium chloride, or solutes like sucrose, or solutes like urea here. These are called as different types of solutes. It is solid solutes. When solutes are dissolved in this solvent here, then the vapor pressure decreases. Vapor pressure of that solvent decreases. Here, since in case of if it contains only solvent molecules here, this is solvent molecules here, then more number of solvent molecules are present on the surface of the solution here, then more number of solvent molecules escape to the surface of the solution here, then vapor pressure goes on increases. But what about here, if you are adding that is solute for the solvent here, if you are adding solute for a solvent here, then some of the solute particles occupy surface area. When some of the solute particles occupy surface area here, then number of solvent molecules at the surface area decreases. When number of molecules at the surface area of a solution decreases here, then less number of that solvent molecules escape to the vapor phase. As a result, vapor pressure of a solution decreases. That's why here vapor pressure of solution is lower. Vapor pressure solution is lower than pure components. If you are comparing the pure components, vapor pressure and vapor pressure of solution, vapor pressure of solution is always less than vapor pressure of the pure components. Here pure component vapor pressure denoted by P1 naught, and this is P1 denoted by, this is the vapor pressure of this is solution. Then P1 naught is always more than P1. This is here P1 naught nothing but vapor pressure of the pure component. P1 nothing but vapor pressure of solution it is. That's why vapor pressure of solution is always less than the vapor pressure of the component, vapor pressure of the pure component. Okay. Then when vapor pressure decreases, the decrease in the vapor pressure depends upon number of solute particles, irrespective of its nature. Decrease in vapor pressure of solution, here depends upon number of solute particles, irrespective of its nature. Is that means if you are adding 1 mole of NaCl, if you are adding 1 mole of urea, if you are adding 1 mole of sucrose for 1 kg of water here, then the decrease in vapor pressure is same at a given temperature. The decrease in vapor pressure is same here at a given temperature by adding 1 mole of NaCl in 1 kg of water, or 1 mole of urea for 1 kg of water, or 1 mole of sucrose for 1 kg of water. Since here, sorry, you are taking this is not NaCl here, don't take NaCl, you take 1 mole of urea, 1 mole of sucrose, 1 mole of glucose here. Then by adding 1 mole of glucose, 1 mole of urea, 1 mole sucrose here, then the decrease in vapor pressure should be same. Okay, that means the decrease in vapor pressure depends upon a number of solute particles, but not its nature. It is okay. Then here glucose and sucrose and urea do not undergo dissociation. It is. If you are adding NaCl here, NaCl undergo dissociation gives Na plus and Cl minus. Number of ions, number of particles changes. It is. That's why here by adding 1 mole of glucose, 1 mole of urea, 1 mole of sucrose here, the change in vapor pressure remains same, not for NaCl. Don't take NaCl. Okay. Then here, based on this conclusions here, Rhodes proposed a general law, a general statement for volatile solutions here. Then according to Rhodes law here, that is the relative lowering of vapor pressure P1 naught minus P1 by, that is P1 naught is equal to here mole fraction. It is. That is according to Rhodes law here, for any solution here, the relative lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to is equal to here mole fraction of the components present in the solution. It is. Here mole fraction of the solute, this is called as solute, mole fraction of solute present in the solution. This is for generalization of Rhodes law. That is, for any solutions here, the partial pressure of each component in a solution, is directly proportional to mole fraction of the component present in the solution. That is P1 equal to P1 naught and X1. This is called here for any solution it applies P1 equal to P1 naught and X1 is. Okay. This is the generalization of it is Rhodes law. For any solution, the partial pressure of each component in a solution is directly proportional to, here it is, mole fraction of the component in the solution. Okay, this is about Rhodes law, and it applicable for this solids in liquids, and also it is liquids in liquids. Then after this here we have this based on Rhodes law. Here is we have these two types of solutions. That is, one is ideal solutions, other one is non-ideal solutions. We have two types of solutions, ideal and non-ideal solutions. We are discussing about ideal solutions and non-ideal solutions. What are ideal and what are non-ideal solutions? An ideal solution is one here which satisfies Rhodes law at all concentrations. If any solution which satisfies Rhodes law over the entire range of concentration, that is called as ideal solution. And what is Rhodes law here? Rhodes law nothing but, according to Rhodes law here, P total is equal to here P1 naught and X1 plus P2 naught and X2. This is called as Rhodes law. If any solution obeys this law, here this is, and those solutions are called as ideal solutions. And if any solution here which takes deviation from Rhodes law, nothing but a solution which does not obey Rhodes law over the entire range of concentration, those are called as non-ideal solutions. Then in the non-ideal solution, here are two types. One is non-ideal solutions showing positive deviations, or one is non-ideal solutions showing negative deviations. We have two types of non-ideal solutions. Non-ideal solution showing positive deviation, non-ideal solution showing negative deviation. Like that, we have two types of non-ideal solution. In case of ideal solution, here the ideal solutions like this is called as, by example, you are giving benzene and toluene. By mixing and benzene toluene, here you will getting that is benzene toluene satisfies this is the Rhodes law over the entire range of concentration. R1 is N-hexane and N-heptane, and N-hexane, N-heptane satisfies this Rhodes law here. And also it is one more, it is called as bromoethane and chloroethane, and these solutions are called as ideal solutions. In what are ideal solutions here? An ideal solution is one here which obeys Rhodes law over the entire range of concentration. Then what is the meaning it is here? That means it is according to ideal solution here, this is solute-solute interactions. Solute-solute interactions are same as that of solvent interactions. Solvent interactions. And what are interactions? Interactions means force of attraction or repulsion. Force of attraction or repulsion. Solute interactions or solvent interactions are the same as that of solute solvent interactions. Here is, for example, this is called A is a component and this is B is a one more component. Here we are mixing A and B two components. If you are mixing A and B two components, here AA interactions and BB interactions are same as that of AB interactions. After mixing A component and B component, here the interactions in between A and B should be same as that of AA interactions and BB interactions. Those are called as ideal solutions. In ideal solutions, here AA interactions and BB interactions are same as that of AB interactions. Here those type of solutions are called as ideal solutions. When AB interactions are same as that of AB, nothing but solute-solvent interaction. Solute-solvent interaction is same as that of solvent-solvent and solute-solute. Here, then during those solutions, here we have enthalpy change, enthalpy mixing equal to 0. There is no change in enthalpy here. Enthalpy does not changes in solution. And also here volume mixing equal to 0. There is no change in volume. That means here by adding a benzene to toluene, here there is no change in enthalpy. Enthalpy does not changes. Enthalpy remains same. Enthalpy means heat of solution remains same, does not changes. And by taking 10 ml of toluene, 10 ml of you are taking benzene, here the total volume you will get 20 ml because AB interactions same as that of BB and AA interactions, thus we will get 20 ml. This is like this. This is for ideal solutions, here delta H mixing equal 0, delta V mixing equal 0, and AB interactions are same as that of AA interactions and BB interactions. Here these are the properties of ideal solutions. Then what about non-ideal solutions? In case of non-ideal solutions, here like that is by mixing one is ethanol and acetone, or one is carbon disulfide and acetone, or one more is phenol and acetone, phenol and aniline. Here this is aniline. Or one is chloroform and acetone. Here acetone. And this type of solutions shows negative deviations as well as positive deviations. That means these solutions are called as non-ideal solutions. Why they are non-ideal solutions? Here means AB interactions are different from AA interactions and BB interactions. That is, the solute-solute interactions and solvent-solvent interactions are different from solute-solvent interactions. Those solutions are called as non-ideal solutions. The force of attraction or repulsion between the solute and solvent is different here compared to solute and solvent and solvent. This is called as non-ideal solutions. For non-ideal solutions, here delta mixing H not equal to 0. By mixing these two components A and B, here there is a change in enthalpy changes. That's why here delta H mixing not equal to 0. When enthalpy changes here, then delta mixing volume also not equal to 0. Here these are not equal to 0. Okay, these are called as non-ideal solutions. In non-ideal solutions are those here which deviate from Roche's law. They are not satisfying Roche's law at all conditions it is. Then in non-ideal solutions, AB interactions are different from AA and BB interactions. In case of non-ideal solutions, delta H mixing not equal to 0 and delta V mixing not equal to 0. These are some of the difference between ideal and non-ideal solutions here. And this type of questions asking in previous examinations here for 3 marks questions, write the difference between ideal and non-ideal solutions. And it is easy to write these differences between ideal and non-ideal solutions. One is a solution which obeys Roche's law over the entire range of concentration, that is called as ideal solution. A solution which does not obey Roche's law over the entire range of concentration are called as non-ideal solutions. And in case of non-ideal solutions, ideal solutions, delta H mixing equal to 0 and delta V mixing equal to 0. But non-ideal solutions, delta H mixing not equal to 0, delta V mixing not equal to 0. Like that you are writing ideal solutions and non-ideal solutions. Then in non-ideal solutions we have two types. One is non-ideal solutions showing positive deviation. Non-ideal solution shows the positive deviations and non-ideal solution showing negative deviations. What are negative deviations and what are positive deviations? It is. For example, here there is you're taking an example of ethanol and water. Ethanol and water. If you're adding ethanol into water, it is. If you're adding ethanol into water here, then by adding ethanol into water, what happens? The hydrogen bonds which are present in ethanol nothing but ethyl alcohol, CH3, CH2OH, and ethanol and water both are held by hydrogen bonds. By mixing it is not water, ethanol and acetone. We are adding this is ethanol and acetone. Here by taking ethanol and acetone, this ethanol is held by hydrogen bonds. When acetone is added into ethanol, here the hydrogen bonds are destroyed and hydrogen bonds are broken. Here when hydrogen bonds are broken here, then the molecules are separated here, then they shows they shows positive deviation from Roth's law. That means here P total of a solution here is more than P1 naught and X1 naught X1 here, and P2 naught and this is X2. This is called as P total. That is P total means it is the total pressure of the solution. The total pressure of solution in the vapor phase is greater than P1 naught and X1 and P2 naught and X2 here in case of ethanol and acetone. And why this happens? It is that means in this case here solute interactions are greater. Solute interactions are greater. Solute interactions and solvent interactions. Okay, and solute-solvent interactions are less. Solute-solvent interactions are less when compared to solute and solvent interactions. That's why here the total pressure on the vapor phase increases here. This type of solutions, these solutions are called as they shows positive deviations. Here, if there is solute-solvent interactions are less. When the solute-solvent interactions are less, more number of molecules escapes in the vapor phase. As a result, the vapor pressure in the vapor phase goes on increases. That's why they shows a positive deviation from the Roth's law. One is ethanol and water is the best example for this ethanol and acetone. A best example for this positive deviation. Second one is carbon disulfide and acetone. And these two are best examples for this solutions which are showing positive deviation from Roth's law. That is, in this case here, AB interactions are less than AA interactions and BB interactions. AB nothing but solute-solvent interactions are attractive forces are less than AA interactions and BB interactions. Then what about here in the negative deviations? In negative deviations here, P total is less than P1 naught and X1 and P2 naught and X2. Here P total is less. The total vapor pressure is less in a solution when compared to P1 naught and X1 and P2 naught and X2 when compared to Roth's law. And this value is less when compared to this one is. And why it happens? That is, this is mainly due to here AB interactions are greater than AA interactions and BB interactions. Here AA nothing but solute. Here this is solvent. Here like that. Here solute-solvent interactions are more when compared to solute-solute interactions and the solvent-solvent interactions. Like that here, this type of solutions are showing negative deviations from Roth's law. When the solute-solvent interaction is greater here, then the molecules are held by some attractive forces here. Then the P total is less than P1 naught and X1, and this is the P2 naught and X2. Then for this type of solutions, what happens here? In case of AB interaction is less than AA and BB interactions, here delta mixing H equal to it is positive. It is here nothing but here heat is absorbed. It is, and also here AB interactions are less than AA and BB interactions. Here by mixing two components, here the volume goes increases. that is delta mixing volume is also positive. Here delta mixing H is positive and delta V mixing also positive. Here this is called as positive deviations. But here negative deviations, here AB interactions is greater than AA and BB interactions. That is, the attraction between a solute solvent is greater when compared to solute solute and solvent solvent. In this case, what happens? That is, when the solute solvent interaction is more than that is solute solute and solvent solvent here, then the molecules comes closer. When molecules comes closer here, then heat is liberated. That's why delta H mixing is negative. Here it is. Here heat is liberated. This is exothermic in nature. It is. And also here, when AB interactions are more when compared to AA and BB interactions, here volume goes and decreases. When volume decreases, that is taken as negative. It is. Okay. That's why here in negative deviations, here delta mixing H equal to negative and delta mixing V equal to negative. And AB interactions are more than AA and BB interactions. This is about non-ideal solutions showing positive deviations and non-ideal solutions showing negative deviations. Then here this is one more example. In this case, non-ideal solution is one is for this example we have taken negative deviations example phenol and aniline. Phenol and aniline. Here the attractive force between aniline and phenol is less when compared to here phenol and aniline. And phenol and aniline are held by its hydrogen bonds. That's why here this shows negative deviations. Similarly, one more example is called chloroform and acetone. And acetone, this is acetone, nothing but CH3 C double bond O. This is acetone. And chloroform, nothing but this is H. This is H. This is C. Chloroform Cl. This is Cl. This is Cl. And here this is negative charge. This is a positive charge of hydrogen atom held by hydrogen bonds. By mixing chloroform and acetone here, and the hydrogen in the chloroform and oxygen in the acetone here held by hydrogen bonds here, then hydrogen bond is stronger when compared to dipole-dipole interactions. And here chloroform molecules have dipole interactions. It also has dipole-dipole interactions, and dipole-dipole interaction is less when compared to hydrogen bonds. That's why here, and these two mixtures, phenol, aniline and acetone and chloroform, they shows negative deviations. Similarly, in case of ethanol and acetone, here if you are adding acetone in the ethanol, here hydrogen bonds are breaks. When hydrogen bond breaks, then the molecules moves apart each other. Here the volume goes on increases, and delta mixing H becomes positive. It is. Similarly, in case of carbon disulfide and acetone here, and here this is dipole-dipole interactions. The dipole-dipole interactions becomes less by mixing acetone and carbon disulfide here. That's why they shows positive deviations. It is. Here hydrogen bonds are breaks here. Here dipole-dipole interaction decreases. Here dipole-dipole interaction decreases here, and hydrogen bond increases. Here same it is. In case of it is hydrogen bonds and dipole-dipole interaction are less when compared to this. This is compared to phenol and aniline. Here phenol and aniline is more. Here hydrogen bonds here. That's why they shows negative deviations. This is about non-ideal solutions showing positive and negative deviations. I hope you're all understanding these concepts clearly. This is one of the most important concepts regarding ideal and non-ideal solutions here. And exam point of view, this is the most important topic: ideal and non-ideal solutions. In questions, in the previous question paper, they're asking about write the difference between ideal and non-ideal solutions. This is one of the question for 3 marks question here. And similarly, they're asking about what are ideal solutions. Give an example like that here. And what are non-ideal solutions? Give an example. Or write the difference between it is non-ideal solution showing positive deviation and non-ideal solution showing negative deviation here. Like that, they are asking questions based on ideal and non-ideal solutions. Okay. Thank you, friends. It is. In the next class, we'll be discussing about azeotropic mixture. That is, in azeotropes, we have two types: minimum azeotropes, or one is maximum azeotropes here. We are discussing about azeotropic mixtures in the next class here, and also we are discussing about the colligative properties of solutions. Okay. Thank you.